9 early signs of dementia that few people know about. Have you ever imagined that your brain might be sending warning signs and you don't even notice? Signs that seem like simple forgetfulness, silly distractions, but actually, they are the very first hints that something much more serious might be happening. And the scariest part? Almost nobody knows how to recognize them. What do you think it means when someone starts moving things around without realizing? Or forgetting simple everyday words, like their mind just blanks out? That's not normal, and it can be way more serious than you think. The problem is that most of the time, these signs get confused with tiredness, stress, or just getting older, and end up being ignored. And while you think it's just a phase, your brain could be going through a silent process that, if not caught in time, will progress and destroy your memory, your independence, and your quality of life. Dementia, Alzheimer's, and other neurodegenerative diseases don't show up out of nowhere. They give signs. Small ones, subtle, almost invisible. And it's exactly these signs no one tells you about that I'm going to talk about today. And here's a warning. Some of these signs are so quiet, but so dangerous, that by the time you notice, it's already too late. But the good news is, if you can recognize them now, it can make all the difference for your future, your mental health, and your life. So I challenge you, stay with me till the end of this video, because what you're going to learn today could be the most valuable knowledge of your life, and more. I'm also going to show you what to do, in practice, to protect your brain, strengthen your memory, and drastically reduce the risks of developing dementia. Are you ready? Let's go, because this video can literally change the direction of your life. Number 9, changes in vision and spatial awareness. Imagine walking around your own house, a place you've known for years, and suddenly tripping over the rug, bumping into the edge of the table, or even knocking over things without realizing. This might seem like just distraction, but when it happens often, it can be an early sign of dementia. Changes in vision and spatial awareness are quiet symptoms that few people connect with cognitive problems. People dealing with this start having trouble judging distances, sizes, and even recognizing objects and faces. It's like the brain can no longer properly interpret what the eyes are seeing. These problems go far beyond simple vision difficulties that could be fixed with glasses. In fact, the person starts having trouble understanding where objects are in space, misjudging steps, tripping over furniture, or even bumping into open doors. Reading becomes a challenge too, because words might appear jumbled or out of focus, even when vision seems normal. Simple tasks like parking a car or pouring a glass of water become extremely difficult. This visual disorientation affects not just autonomy, but also daily safety. One of the most worrying aspects of these changes is that often people around don't immediately realize it's a cognitive problem. Family members might think it's just distraction or lack of attention, when really the brain is struggling to process visual and spatial information. This can cause home accidents, falls, and even dangerous driving situations if the person is still behind the wheel. Not perceiving the environment correctly also contributes to increased anxiety and insecurity. Another important point is that these difficulties directly impact the person's independence. Everyday activities like cooking, cleaning, gardening, or shopping become obstacles. Imagine someone who always loved crafting suddenly starts dropping objects, messing up measurements, or can't put together simple pieces anymore. This creates a huge frustration both for the person and those who live with them. Unfortunately, this progressive loss of independence is one of the biggest impacts of dementia. It's essential to understand these changes don't just appear overnight. They develop slowly, often so subtle that they go unnoticed for months or even years. That's why paying attention to the signs is crucial. When someone starts dropping glasses frequently, bumping into furniture, or tripping in places they know well, it shouldn't be ignored. Early detection of these signs can make a huge difference in treatment and quality of life. So if you notice someone close to you is having trouble judging distances, is visually disoriented, or having more frequent household accidents, be alert. This could be one of the first signals that something in their brain isn't right. And the earlier this is recognized, the better the chances for medical intervention, proper monitoring, and strategies to preserve independence and quality of life. Number 8. Constantly repeating the same questions or stories. You know when someone tells the same story several times in one day, like they're sharing it for the first time, or asks a question they just got answered, repeating it many times without realizing? This is one of the most common, yet most neglected, early signs of dementia. Short-term memory starts to fail, and the brain can't hold onto recent information, causing constant repetition. This doesn't mean stubbornness, laziness, or distraction. It's a real difficulty with retention. This behavior often causes impatience among family and friends who don't understand the person isn't doing it on purpose. The repetition isn't just questions, but also comments, stories, and even actions. The person might ask, "What day is it?" dozens of times over a few hours. And even though they get the answer, it just doesn't stick. It's like every answer disappears from their mind a few seconds later. What's more concerning is that this difficulty gets worse over time. What begins with small, occasional repeats turns into more serious forgetfulness, directly impacting the person's autonomy. It even affects their ability to plan simple tasks, like remembering if they took their medication or already ate lunch. Sometimes the person may even eat twice in a short time, believing they haven't eaten yet. This symptom also leads to dangerous situations. Imagine someone constantly forgetting they left the stove on or didn't lock the door. Small forgetful moments can turn into big risks in daily life. Plus, constant repetition affects social interaction, as friends and family might start to distance themselves, often because they don't understand what's really happening. It's very important for those around someone showing this behavior to realize it's not just normal aging. Typical age-related forgetfulness doesn't usually cause this level of repetition. When it becomes frequent, it's a sign that something serious is happening in the brain, affecting the areas responsible for recent memory. And that's an alert you should never ignore. And here's a very important warning. If this sign already feels uncomfortable, wait until you discover, in the last chapter, which sign is the quietest, most subtle, and often completely unnoticed by families. It's the sneakiest of all, and you need to know it. Number 7. Losing interest in activities they once enjoyed. Imagine someone who always loved chatting, cooking, going for walks, or doing crafts suddenly starts losing interest in all of it. They isolate themselves, avoid social events, lose joy in activities they once loved, and often spend hours staring blankly, without wanting to do anything at all. This is a very characteristic sign of dementia called apathy, which usually develops gradually without family noticing right away. Contrary to what many think, this isn't about laziness, tiredness, or temporary lack of motivation. Apathy in dementia is a real change in brain function, directly affecting the motivation center. The person simply loses the ability to care about things, even the simplest, like watching TV, listening to music, or talking to family. It's like their brain switches off curiosity and pleasure. This symptom shouldn't be confused with depression, although they can look similar. Depression comes with sadness, but apathy in dementia often doesn't. The person feels no desire, sees no meaning in activities, and can't explain why. This causes a lot of frustration both for the person and those around them. Another important point is that apathy can speed up cognitive decline. When a person stops engaging in activities, their brain stops getting stimulated. And we know the less the brain is stimulated, the faster it loses function. So encouraging someone who is apathetic to stay as active as possible is essential to slow disease progression. Unfortunately, many families only notice this sign once it's very advanced. By then, the person is fully isolated, uninterested in anything, living in a cycle of inertia. That's why apathy is one of the most devastating signs, because it silently destroys quality of life. Number 6. Problems with judgment and decision-making. Imagine someone who was always responsible, careful, and balanced suddenly starts making decisions that just don't make sense, like going out and freezing whether dressed for summer, buying unnecessary stuff, spending all their money on useless things, or falling for scams easily. These behaviors are clear signs that judgment and decision-making are impaired, an important early indicator of dementia. This problem happens because dementia affects brain areas responsible for logical thinking, impulse control, and evaluating situations. The person loses sense of risk, priority, and consequences. Simple things like crossing the street without looking, trusting strangers, or not realizing they're being tricked become part of daily life, exposing them to constant danger. Besides financial and physical risks, this symptom also affects family life. Simple choices, what to cook, managing meds, planning the day, organizing household finances, become extremely hard. The person becomes more dependent, which causes emotional strain for both them and their caregivers. A classic example is people who start compulsive shopping online or at stores, bringing home dozens of the same product without realizing. Or they blindly trust strangers, handing over passwords, cards, and money, which greatly increases the risk of fraud. This symptom is very painful for families who no longer recognize the prudent and sensible person they once knew. It's hard to see someone lose the ability to assess what's right, safe, and appropriate. Unfortunately, this loss of judgment tends to get worse over time. Number 5. Difficulty doing simple, routine tasks. Imagine waking up and suddenly realizing making your own breakfast has become confusing. Things that used to be automatic, like making coffee, turning on the TV, using the microwave, or even getting dressed, start seeming really complicated. Trouble with daily routine tasks is a very common early sign of dementia, but unfortunately, it's often underestimated by those living with the person. This sign appears in many ways, from forgetting how to use appliances to not remembering the steps for a recipe they always made. In more advanced cases, even basic actions like brushing teeth, combing hair, or bathing become challenges. And unlike simple forgetfulness, here the problem isn't doing the task itself, not just remembering that it needs to be done. At this stage, the brain struggles to organize info, plan actions, and coordinate movements. Tasks with multiple steps, like cooking or managing money, become especially hard. Many times, the person starts something but gives up halfway because they don't know how to continue. This causes huge frustration for them and those around. Difficulty doing tasks also creates risks. Forgetting the stove is on, not knowing how to turn off an appliance, or leaving the door unlocked are common. Plus, this sign hits self-esteem hard. The person starts feeling incapable and often tries to hide mistakes out of shame or fear of judgment. Families and caregivers must be vigilant. Daily support, structured routines, and visual reminders can help a lot but don't completely solve the problem. Sadly, this difficulty usually gets worse, requiring more supervision over time. Number 4. Sudden mood or personality changes. You know that calm, patient, and easygoing person who suddenly becomes impatient, irritable, suspicious, or even aggressive. This sharp change in mood or personality is a very common sign that something is happening in the brain, and it might be an early sign of dementia. These changes don't appear out of nowhere but develop slowly, confusing those around the person. What once seemed like a temporary bad mood or stress turns into frequent episodes, and worse, without any clear reason. The person gets more sensitive, anxious, loses patience quickly, and in many cases, becomes suspicious even of their loved ones. It's common to hear things like, "They're stealing from me," "They're tricking me," or "Nobody loves me anymore," without real evidence. Besides irritability, depressive behaviors can appear, with sadness, apathy, and crying spells. Other times, there's constant restlessness, pacing around the house for no reason, fiddling with things, or complaining a lot. These behaviors aren't just emotional, they reflect chemical and structural brain changes. The hardest part is that these behaviors often cause family conflicts. People who don't understand it's part of the disease often react with impatience, argue, or try to reason, which only makes things worse. The person isn't being difficult on purpose. They're losing control over their emotions and reactions. Another key point is that these changes can vary a lot during the day. Someone might be cheerful and calm in the morning, but become irritable, anxious, or aggressive in the afternoon or evening. This is related to sundowning syndrome, common in dementia cases. Number 3. Disorientation in time and space. Losing track of what day it is, forgetting what month we're in, or completely forgetting where they are. These are clear signs of disorientation in time and space. This symptom is very common in early dementia and is one of the most impactful for both the person and their family witnessing the loss of connection with reality. The person starts getting confused in simple situations. They might wake up thinking it's night, get ready for work even though they've been retired for years, or not know if it's a weekday or weekend. This disorientation isn't just about the calendar. It extends to physical space too. They might get lost on the way home even though they've lived there for decades, or not recognize familiar places like their neighborhood or the supermarket they always go to. In more worrying cases, disorientation leads to wandering episodes. The person leaves home aimlessly, doesn't know where they are or where they're going, and often can't even say their full name. These episodes are very risky, both because of potential accidents and because they might not find their way back. The emotional impact is huge. Imagine the fear and anxiety of not recognizing where you are, not knowing where to go or what's happening around you. This symptom also creates great insecurity, making the person avoid going out, socially isolate, and depend more and more on others for simple tasks. Family members need to be very alert when this sign appears. It's essential to create safety measures like labeling clothes, using ID bracelets or necklaces, and ensuring the person doesn't go out alone, especially during moments of greater confusion. Number 2, constantly putting objects in the wrong places. Imagine opening the fridge and finding the TV remote inside, or searching for your keys for hours only to discover they were in the clothes closet. Situations like these, which might seem funny or harmless at first, are actually serious signs of early dementia. Putting things in completely wrong places is an important alert that the brain is starting to fail in memory processing and organization. This symptom happens because the person loses the ability to connect objects with their correct places. The brain, which used to do this automatically, gets confused. The person knows they need to put something away, but can't link the item to the right spot. So you get more and more frequent episodes of disorganization, often mistaken as mere distraction in the beginning. Another worrying point is that after putting the object in the wrong place, the person simply can't remember where they put it. This creates a cycle of frustration, anxiety, and even family arguments. They might accuse others of moving their things, think they've been robbed, or believe someone hid their stuff. But all this is actually caused by mental disorganization from brain changes. Over time, this difficulty worsens and starts affecting essential daily activities. The person can't find medicines, loses important documents, forgets where money is kept, or can't locate basic household items. This directly impacts their independence and safety, and causes huge stress for both the person and those around. It's very common for families to take a while to realize this isn't just simple forgetfulness. Only when these episodes become very frequent and absurd, like finding a wallet in the laundry basket or a phone in the oven, does the alarm go off. At that point, seeking specialist help becomes essential to understand what's going on. Now, if this sign already surprised you, get ready, because what you'll discover in the last chapter might shock you even more. The quietest sign of all, the one almost nobody notices, will be revealed. And I promise, you need to know this. Number 1, difficulty finding simple words during conversation. Imagine being in the middle of a conversation and suddenly your mind just freezes. You know exactly what you want to say. The idea is clear, but the words vanish. Instead, you say things like that thing, that stuff, or even have long silent moments trying, unsuccessfully, to remember very simple everyday words. This is one of the quietest and most overlooked signs of early dementia. The brain starts struggling to access words that were used automatically before, especially nouns, names of objects, and people. It's like the connection between thought and speech is failing, creating gaps that cause discomfort, embarrassment, and insecurity in any kind of dialogue. At first, this happens sporadically, but over time, it becomes more frequent. The person tries to work around these gaps with gestures, pointing, or uses generic words like thing, stuff, this thing, and other vague expressions. And this isn't limited to long or complicated conversations. It shows up even in simple interactions, like asking for a glass of water or recounting what they did the day before. This difficulty goes way beyond normal age-related forgetfulness because it directly affects fluency and sentence construction. Also, this language limitation leads to frustration. The person realizes they're forgetting words, feels ashamed, starts isolating themselves, avoids conversations, and slowly this impacts their emotional well-being and social relationships. Friends and family often don't understand what's happening, thinking it's lack of attention, stress, or disinterest. But really, it's the brain's first signs that something isn't working right. This sign is extremely sneaky because, unlike other more obvious symptoms, it comes on very subtly and quietly. It's easily mistaken for tiredness, stress, or even natural aging. And that's exactly why it's so dangerous. It lets the disease progress for months or even years, without anyone realizing it's really the first signs of dementia. Now that you know these 9 early signs that almost no one notices, it's time to understand that, although there's no definite cure, there are simple habits you can adopt every day to protect your brain, strengthen your memory, and significantly reduce the risks of developing dementia. And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about next. Get ready, because this info can completely change your health and your future. Habit 2. Daily physical exercise. If there's a natural, free, and incredibly effective medicine to protect your brain, it's movement. Regular exercise doesn't just benefit your muscles or heart. It's one of your best weapons against brain aging. And when we talk about dementia, Alzheimer's, and other neurodegenerative diseases, the impact of exercise is just amazing. Moving your body is, in practice, strengthening your mind. When you go for a walk, bike ride, dance, or do weight training, your brain gets a real health boost. Physical activity improves blood circulation, increasing the flow of oxygen and nutrients to the brain. This helps form new neurons and strengthens existing connections, while also stimulating the release of substances like dopamine and serotonin, which are directly linked to well-being and mental health. Also, exercise reduces inflammation in the body and brain. And as you know, chronic inflammation is one of the big villains when it comes to memory loss and dementia development. Moving daily fights this process directly, protecting your brain cells from damage and slowing the brain's natural aging. That means every step you take is an investment in your memory. Another amazing benefit is that regular exercise boosts brain plasticity. In other words, it means your brain adapts, creates new connections, and stays younger and more active. Physically active people have lower risk of developing Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, and even stroke. And the good news is you don't need to become an athlete. 30 minutes of activity a day already makes a huge difference. No matter your age, it's always time to start. It can be a walk around the block, a dance class, stretching exercises, or even gardening. What matters is to keep moving every day. And beyond cognitive benefits, you'll also improve your energy, mood, sleep quality, and even your immune system. Habit 1. Challenge and exercise your brain daily. If you think only your body needs exercise, you're wrong. Your brain is also a muscle that needs to be stimulated, challenged, and strengthened every day. Keeping your mind active is one of the most powerful strategies to create new neural connections and preserve the ones you already have. And this makes a huge difference in preventing dementia, Alzheimer's, and other types of cognitive decline. Learning new stuff is definitely one of the best brain boosters. Whether it's studying a language, cooking, playing an instrument, or picking up a new hobby, your brain has to make new pathways. This sharpens memory, focus, and reasoning while keeping you mentally young, no matter your age. Logic games are also awesome helpers. Crossword puzzles, Sudoku, chess, dominoes, memory games, or special apps keep your brain sharp. These activities get your brain working actively, preventing cognitive skill loss and keeping your mind alert longer. Reading books, listening to podcasts, taking online courses, watching documentaries, and most importantly, having smart conversations every day are simple, accessible, and super effective brain workouts. Anything that makes you think, reflect, learn, or get curious builds neural connections and keeps your brain healthy and tough against time. So make caring for your mind a daily habit, just like brushing your teeth or showering. Your brain is your most precious asset. The more you stimulate it, the more it responds. Protecting your memory isn't impossible. On the contrary, with small daily actions, you can build a strong, healthy mind ready to face life's challenges for many years. And to keep getting the best health and wellness videos, subscribe to the channel. It's here for one simple reason: to help you become a stronger, happier person. And in the video popping up now on your screen, I reveal the one common medicine that's destroying your heart health. To watch it, just click the screen. See you in the next video.